Now, let's be honest. We all saw this coming. I mean, I tweeted this out yesterday. I'm like, yo, if Urban Meyer doesn't get fired by the end of this week, I'll be surprised. And honestly, this was long overdue. Now, let's get into what Urban Meyer has done since being the coach at Jacksonville. Well, first, right, he hired Chris Doyle, who was a coach at Iowa, and he had past racial issues or whatever. He hired him. It was a big uproar. The next day, the guy resigns. Right. Another one. So the Jaguars lose a game to the Bengals, and on the way back, I guess back to Jacksonville, he does not travel with the team there to back to Jacksonville. What does he do? He's seen at a bar grinding on a woman or whatever. Like, all right, all right. Another one. Earlier this week or maybe last week, it was reports that he basically lost the locker room. It was assistant coaches saying that there was tension there, players saying that there was tension there. So there was already tension right in that locker room, right? So it was already that. And then yesterday, former kicker Joe Lambo basically says that while he was practicing or stretching, Urban Meyer comes up to him and says, "Hey, Dip, make your kicks," and kicks the guy. What's going on? What's going on? I mean, like, this guy has lost his dang mind. He's lost his mind. Now, what Urban Meyer doesn't realize is that people are not going to tolerate you if you're losing. People only tolerated you at Florida and at Ohio State because you were winning. Because best believe, if you were losing at Florida or if you were losing at Ohio State, you would have been got fired and nobody would know who you are. You would have been forgotten, right? And what we have to realize in life is people are going to tolerate you as long as you're winning, right? If I have a friend, right, and he got all the drip, all the money, all the girls, but he's a jerk, I'm going to tolerate him. But the moment that, this guy is broke, he got no girls, he got no drip, and he's a jerk, good riddance. Why do I have you with me? And that's the same reason. That's the same thinking that that Sean Connor, the owner of Jacksonville, is saying to himself, like, I brought you here to really, transform this program. I have a guy with Trevor Lawrence that is a generational talent, and, I want to put him in the best situation for him to be great. But instead, you're being more of a distraction than uplifting the guy, right? And again, until if the Jaguars were winning, if they were 10-2 instead of 2-10, or if they were 8-2 instead of 2-10 or whatever, like, he would still have a job by now. But if you're losing and you're a jerk, that's a double whammy right there. I mean, like, yo, it's pretty much sign, seal, and delivery that you're gonna get fired. And I'm surprised that this hasn't happened, earlier. This hasn't happened earlier. Another thing, I don't see Urban Meyer coaching again. Never mind the NFL. I'm talking about college, because if he wants to go back to college, think about the parents, because swaying the parents in terms of where college recruit goes to school, the parents, the mom, the dad, they hold a lot of weight in where their child goes to school. And parents seeing this guy out here grinding on people in bars, out here kicking people or whatever, out here hiring guys that got racial issues, they're like, I don't want to have this guy leave my son or whatever. I don't want to have this guy around my son. So I don't see any way, no matter if he's a good coach in college or not, for him to be a college coach, because his reputation is shot. In college sports, you have to be able to recruit. If you cannot recruit in college, your program is not going to be good. The best programs in college football and college basketball have a great recruiting class. If you don't have a good recruiting class, your program most likely is not going to be good. And I just see this as being the end of Urban Meyer in obviously in Jacksonville, but I'm just talking about in general. I don't see how he can come back from this. Now, what's interesting is he's going to have a legal battle with Jacksonville because he signed a 4 or 5 year deal with them to be coach, and obviously they fired him. And he wants that money though, because that money is guaranteed. And Adam Schefter talked about this as well. But it's like I think Jacksonville has a pretty good case to not pay the guy for those 4 or 5 years because of what he's done. I'm like, has this guy lost his damn mind? Lost his mind? I'm like, you out here doing all this is like back to back to back to back to back. And honestly, I'll be completely honest. If he was black, he would have been got fired week 2, week 3, or whatever the first incident came out. He probably would have been got fired. Let's be completely honest. And if we're being completely honest, he should have never got the job to begin with. A guy like Jim Caldwell, a guy like Eric Bieniemy, probably should have got the job instead of, Urban Meyer. How about Eric Bieniemy, a guy that is known, that helped, bring up Patrick Mahomes, that's on the way, that's going to be one of the best quarterbacks to ever live. He's a big part in why Patrick Mahomes is so good. And for them not to hire him, now, hey, they got a new coaching search now after they fired Urban Meyer, so maybe they look at Eric Bieniemy. But this goes to show you that just because you're a good college coach doesn't mean squat. Doesn't mean squat. Same way how if you're a great college player doesn't mean that it can translate to the NFL. The same thing goes to coaches. Just because you're good at college does not mean that it goes back